Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Committee of Adjustment. This is a meeting to consider applications for minor variance and consents that's held under the authority of the Planning Act of Ontario. Please keep in mind the intent of our process is to review the proposal that's before us, listen to the evidence, and make a decision. The process is not intended to be used to resolve any concerns or disputes that may exist between the town, individuals, or other organizations. If a request for a deferral is made this evening and the committee grants such a request, the committee, after consultation with our Secretary-Treasurer, will set a new hearing date, and no further notice will be provided unless there are changes to the application. In order to conduct an effective and efficient hearing, we've adopted the following process. The owner or authorized agent will be given the opportunity, if so desired, to briefly explain to us the basis of the application and answer any questions that may arise out of the hearing. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for this presentation, and you need to state your full name and address for the record. Any material submitted to committee for viewing will remain the property of this committee, and any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be the discretion of this committee. All persons that are attending the hearing this evening and wish to support or oppose an application must also state their full name and address for the record. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for your presentation. All remarks and questions are to be directed to the chair of the committee. Any submission beyond the 5 minutes, again, will be discretion of this committee. If there are several speakers that share the same view, we ask that you elect a spokesperson to communicate those views to us. We want to hear everyone's views, but it doesn't necessarily help us to arrive at a quicker decision if we cover the same points. The owner or agent will then be provided further 5 minutes to respond to comments made by any interested parties and answer any questions from the committee members. If the owner or agent has any questions found in the staff report, this will be your opportunity to advise us. The matter will then be taken to committee for a decision, and that will mark the end of all presentation and discussions. Once the committee makes an oral decision, any person desiring a copy must file with the Secretary-Treasurer at this meeting a written request for notice of decision. A green sheet is provided in the back table. For this purpose, we ask that you fill it out and leave it before you depart the hearing this evening. Please note that you must make a written request in order to be included on the list that is used by the Intermunicipal Board for the giving of any subsequent notice of any appeal. Written notice of our decision will be mailed not later than 10 days for minor variance and 15 days for the consent to the applicant, the owner, and the agent, or any other person who filed a written request for such notice. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, you may appeal this to the Intermunicipal Board. The last date to appeal the decision to the Intermunicipal Board will be noted on the decision itself. If no appeal is received within the prescribed time frame, our decision becomes final and binding. The Secretary-Treasurer will then notify the applicant through written correspondence. People attending this meeting this evening are to be courteous to, respectful of the members of the committee, town staff, and any other people in attendance tonight. Tonight's meeting will be live streamed and available for future viewing on the town's live stream page at oakville.ca/live. We ask that cellular phones and pagers be switched off or turned to vibrate during the course of this meeting. Thank you. We don't have any regrets this evening. Everyone's here. Is there any declaration of any pecuniary interest? See none. I have matter number 9, representative for this application. I happen to work with her, so I will be declaring a conflict. So is there any request for deferral, withdrawal of any application this evening? Okay. So this is the one I have a conflict with. So would you chair this, Ms. McHale? Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Chairman.
Let me just step
Ms. Baker,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Baker, Weirfolds LLP, for the record, and thank you. Madam Chair, members of the committee, this is with respect to CAVA 078-2017. We together with Bousfields Inc. have filed an application for this site, for minor variances for this site. It's a little bit of a complicated site because of its history, and staff have asked for some additional information on that site, and well, we would certainly like to provide that information to them, and so we're here requesting a deferral in order to give that information to them.
Very fine. Are there any questions of Mrs. Baker? Okay. Motion to defer. Before I do that, sorry, Ms. Baker. Is there anyone in the audience here for CAV 78 of 2017? Okay. Mr. Treasurer, I see none. In that case, we can proceed with the request for deferral. Motion for deferral?
Madam Chairperson, I'll put forward a motion to defer this application.
Thank you, Mr. Charlebois. Discussion on this recommendation? See none. All those in favor of deferral? Okay, the request for deferral has been granted. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
I did. I almost down quickly. Thank you for that. All right. Yes, sir. Name and address for the record. I guess we're dealing with which application?
Yes, Mr. Chair, my name is Bill Outred, dealing with application CAV 74, 2017. Address is 454 Maple Avenue, and we'd like to request a deferral to work with planning to come up with something with the floor area that is palatable.
Has an interest in application CAV 74, 2017 at 454 Maple Avenue. See none. Members, are you content with the deferral request? All those in support? Okay, then we'll post your application to be deferred. Do we have a date for that?
Through Mr. Chair, we do have a date, like the only available is June 13 right now. So if you come this week, then you would be scheduled for June 13th.
Okay, I think it may be better because we may have to do a little bit of work to make this one happen.
Then-
So this may be one that I'd like to just put off until we know that we have planning support, and then we can reschedule.
No problem.
So you don't want the June 13th date? Well, in any event, it sounds like you're going to need new notice.
Actually, June 13th should be fine because that would be, you need the plans by when, Jasmina?
Plans, yeah, we need plans and all stuff like the check and everything
By,
by next week probably.
Next
I don't
week.
know how far it's gonna be, like how
It
soon it
doesn't
will
look
be
they're going to
full.
make June 13th,
No,
so we'll
Yeah.
defer it. You'll need new notice. We won't defer it sine die other than to say we'll defer it. We'd like it to come back quicker rather than later, but June 13th is really optimistic given the negotiations and discussion you have to have.
I agree.
So probably the week after that, the 27th.
Yes, but as soon as you come, like you're gonna be scheduled for a
Okay.
date.
And we'll need new notice in any event.
Okay,
Okay,
fair enough.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now continue. Anyone else wishing to defer or withdraw an application? Okay, we'll then continue with our regular agenda item. It's CAVA 69, 2017, at 1120 Truman Avenue.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. This is my first time doing this, so I'm not exactly sure how to address everybody, but
Okay, so
Hello?
first of all, you got to speak to the mic and
Hello?
you can pull it towards you.
thank you.
Okay, we need your name and address for the record.
My name is Jacob John Wycamp. Would you like my address or the client's address? I'm on behalf of the client.
No, your address.
Yep,
So
my
you're
ad-
the agent?
That's correct.
Okay, you're here on behalf of the owner?
That's correct.
Okay, just before we see if there's any need for you to give us a full presentation, we'll ask to see if there's anyone here this evening that has an interest in this application, CAV 69, 2017, 1120 Truman Avenue. Okay, our procedural bylaw allows us to dispense of a full presentation where it warrants. It seems like staff are satisfied and they recommend approval. Members, you've done your site visit, you read the staff report, you're familiar with the application. Any questions, any items of clarification you wish to pursue? Seeing none, sir. Is there anything you wish to add to the application?
No, sir.
Okay, then we'll take it into committee and try to issue a decision. Who would like to move a recommendation? Thank you, Mr. Tilowski, is it? Oh, Ms. Sherry McCall? Yeah, go ahead, Ms. McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr.
I'll move
Tilowski.
the application be approved as applied for, finding that the coverage variance for the pavilion meets the four tests of the Planning Act, and we'd make that subject to development proceeding in accordance with the drawings provided, and that a building permit issue within 2 years.
Thank you. Discussion, recommendation on the motion? Sorry? Yeah, so this is the built situation, so I advise we don't need the, but you still need a building permit, correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we'll keep with that condition. Okay, so discussion recommendation? Seeing none, all those in support? No one opposed, your application is being approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll try it in a minute. You having a hard time hearing? Okay, we'll proceed with the application CAV 70-2017 at 132 Calder Drive.
Good afternoon or good evening, Mr. Chair. My name is Ian Robertson. I'm the agent acting on behalf of the owner for 132 Calder Avenue.
Good evening, Mr. Robertson. Okay, again, we'll see, is there anyone here this evening that has an interest in application CAV 70-2017 at 132 Calder Drive? Okay, we'll need a presentation because some of the variances are not supported by staff, so perhaps you can focus on those and we'll proceed.
Thank you. So we have 5 variances we're looking for. The first one is the garage area. So we're exceeding the garage area. We're providing basically a 3-car garage, but it's in the form of a tandem. So 2 garage doors facing the street, 1 in behind. Generally speaking, the planning department was in support of this one as it was minor and it has a positive impact on the street given the fact that there's limited garage doors. And so I won't speak much about that one. The second variance we're looking for is for gross floor area. Currently, we're allowed to have 29%, and we're requesting 33.35% for our GFA. That's a difference of 4.35% by the standards of the property, the scale and scope. We believe it's minor in nature, given the fact that we haven't maxed out setbacks, building envelope, building length, or coverage. We're strictly asking for a little bit more gross floor area on our particular property, and given the area, the size and scale of house is not larger or exceeding the maximum limits within the street itself or the surrounding areas. The third variance we're looking for, item number 3, is our front yard setback. Again, planning has no objections to this one as it's relatively minor. We're supposed to be 12.3 meters and we're 12.14, where the majority of the house is actually at 14 meters from the house. Impact to the street is negligible given the fact that the porch is open air and doesn't really protrude into the streetscape. Our building is actually set back further than adjacent properties as well. Just the porch itself, that's the encroachment. The second item, or the last item, the last 2 items are combined together through old bylaw and new bylaw, is the height requirements of 9 meters. We're requesting 9.19, about 8 inches more than the required bylaw. And if is it possible? Perfect. Just a little chart to show our roof area. The portion, thank you. The portion in yellow is our main roof, which attributes to almost 67% of our roof mass. The orange area is 25% of our roof mass. Sorry, the yellow area is 25% of our roof mass. My bad. 67% of our roof mass, and it's below the 9 meters. The 25% in the orange is actually at the 9 meters, and the blue is actually at 8%, which is just above the 9 meters. Now, the blue section that I've noticed, it's actually hard to see, but if you see across this area here, this is actually only equates to about 1.7% of my overall roof mass, which is over the 9 meter mark. We included the blue because that's the actual facade and that's the part that you see, but the reality is the amount that's actually over the roof is less than 8 inches, and it's less than 2% of the overall roof massing. And these are the 5 variances that we're looking for. All of them individually are limited and not exorbitant in any state. I have samples of areas. I know the planning department was, their concerns were with the roof height. And when I talk about the roof height being 8 inches over for 2% of my whole roof, I find it hard to believe that that's a condition or that's a concern of major nature, as well as the gross floor area being 4.35% over the requirements. It's a relatively limited amount given the fact we haven't maxed our coverage numbers. So the four variances we're looking for, I believe them to all be minor in nature based on those attributes. And I did happen to go and circulate the area to find out, because the planning comments had comments in regards to up the street, around the corner, keeping in form of the neighborhood, not wanting the two-story built over the garage. I'm on Calder. This is about 8 houses away from me around the bend. Two-car garage, fully built over the garage. His neighbor, same thing, two-car garage, fully built over the garage. Those are both people on my immediate street. This guy's also just around the corner from him as well, on our immediate street, within a few houses, fully built over the two-car garage. We dropped the roof line and that dormer detail, but it's still a predominant feature. So when I look at our house, our proposed house, and compare it to these, for overall massing, we strongly believe that we've done justice in downsizing the roof lines. We brought them down. The overall roof height is nearly at the maximum. The reason we're actually over on that 2% is actually a comment made by the planning department, looking for articulation in the roof, not having one horizontal line, but playing around with different heights. So that small percentage that we're over is actually a comment based on the design features itself. And so just given the houses in the area, we feel that the changes made, dropping the roof line, match in general with the intention of what immediate houses in our area have all done to achieve the same look. We're built 2 stories over the garage. Every one of these houses is within a street of this property, and it's the character of the neighborhood, and we believe that character is, we believe we're keeping in character with that particular house. I'd be happy to answer any other questions and submit any of these photos to committee.
Well, those photos will have to stay our property, but those images you showed of the different houses, were they all in the context of the old bylaw, or are they all, or did they seek variances from both the old and the new bylaw?
Some are old and some are new, yes. I couldn't tell you specifically. I couldn't tell you specifically which ones. That's a newer build.
Well, that's a newer build, but it could have been built under the old bylaw, right?
Yep.
It seems like all those are part of the old bylaw, and I'm just not quite sure if you can use those as an example under the new bylaw, because I think you're only seeking variance from the new bylaw. And also the old bylaw in terms of height.
Yes, but the purpose of our variances, I believe, are minor. If you're looking at the variances that we're asking for by committee standards and general review, I would suggest that they're minor as a whole. And when looking at planning's comments and the individual doing site review and architecture review, the intention was to keep the streetscape, the old, the new, and keep things kind of in unison to the whole street. And some of those pictures are old. Some of them were intended to be old because that's how the street is. There's a lot of new development, and there's a lot of homes with 3-car garages that aren't built over. But there's older houses that are built over. And so the intention is just to show the broad scope of the street itself, and the fact that we're not really doing anything else that nobody else is doing there. We're not pushing the bylaws. We're not pushing the limits to exorbitant amounts or to the point where we're trying to take advantage of the property itself. We're trying to propose a dwelling that will fit within the scope and scale of the properties and the surrounding areas.
Okay.
I do truly believe that we are doing that.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Charlevoix?
Sir, on this particular application, since it was submitted before on November 29th, I see from here. And yet, and it says here they had several discussions with the municipality. I'm, I'm going to just hit on one right now and then go to another one, which is the height. I'm interested just because the staff is kind of silent here on, A, what was the problem with that small portion of the roof being over 9 meters, and B, why couldn't you have corrected that even if it was an issue with respect to the municipality? Can you just?
Well, the initial application had a higher roof to begin
Right.
with, and we brought all that down. The roof line, the building, and the overall peaks have all come down. That last little bit that's still above, it's,
But when you brought it down, like, just help me out here to understand it. When you brought it down, you would have shown it to them, and they would have said, "Sorry, you're still not there. You haven't got it. You need to make these changes or this change," or did any of that happen?
we had a number of discussions back and forth, and it wasn't suggested that if we got rid of that height variance at all, that would make them happy. That wasn't a suggestion. Their concern was more towards the massing of the garage itself and not being fully built over. They wanted us to dumb that down or not build over it or whatever that was. And I didn't feel like when you look at the area of the houses that we're being surrounded by, that I could do something
You might not want to show me that. You'll have to leave it here.
I have to leave my phone here?
Hey, that's my line.
It's a BlackBerry. You want it?
No.
Can we zoom in on that by chance? Or do
Yeah,
I
we
just
could.
hold it up really high? So this is our neighbor's house,
Right.
and the
No, I think your point is, we understand that, that the area is defined by living space over garages, and this would be in keeping with the established pattern and character.
yes,
I think you said that a few
Yeah.
times. That's your point, yeah.
I was just, whenever I'm looking at a variance like this, I'm trying to figure out, it's such a small amount. So A, you can either have the town saying, it's minor, I agree with you, or you can have you saying, I can get rid of that. So can you get rid of it?
I can absolutely. The reason, like I said, the only reason it was there is because they were looking for articulation. They wanted to see different roof heights
Right.
across the board. Because the initial design, we were flat across from the garage to the intermediate to the main roof. We were flat, so they were just looking for articulation. I'd be happy to remove that variance.
So we're talking variance number
Okay.
2, or the height.
The height. Variance is 4 and
But
5.
you're saying the height variance was for the required articulation to have different lights to break up the massing and to provide for a more visual appearance
And that's
along
why,
the street.
and that's why we wanted to leave it, because it's such a small amount, but at some point, we have to make this thing actually work through construction without conventionally framing everything, and that, so you kind of look at the big picture and think, is this much over 40 feet?
It's
Less than
19 centimeters,
right? It's-
half a foot.
Yeah.
More
Is
or
that, so like, from an impact, the rest of the house is constructed that way. We're basically adding, it's almost like an architectural feature of sorts, rather than being the main roof, because if it got cut down, it wouldn't have any impact. The reality is, if you stand down at grade, look up in perspective, the house will actually look 6 inches taller anyways. It's gonna look taller than what it is in
I'm
proportion.
willing
so-
to accept that. I was just trying to understand more the intent of the discussions, because the staff report was silent about it, and I was a
Yeah.
little surprised at it.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'm fine with your answer. Thank you.
Is there anyone here this evening, is there any further questions? Anyone here this evening that has an interest in application CAV 70-2017 at 132 Calder Drive? Okay, so we'll take this matter to committee and issue a decision. Who would like to make a recommendation so we can get the process started? Mr. Charlebois?
Mr. Chairman, having read the report and visited the site and listened to the presentation here tonight, I have to admit, when I went down to the site, I was prepared from the staff report to perhaps be aligned with them. But when I got there, there were a couple of things that came about. One was definitely this subject about the clear height. And I think we got a good enough explanation here tonight as to that it's simply design within here. It's such a small portion of it. And the next one was the massing, and although the applicant did talk a little bit about it, I also noted that the building immediately to the north of them had massing over the garage, the building next to that had massing over the garage, and as he indicated, there were quite a few other buildings in there that had massing over the garage. So I have to admit, I didn't understand the wording that was in here, and I also felt that the design of the building was quite compatible with other buildings in there. So having gone through all that, I am going to put forward a recommendation that this application be approved, finding it meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And I'm going to recommend that it be approved subject to the condition that the building be constructed in general accordance with the plans as submitted, and that the condition that will expire 2 years from the date of this decision, the proposed development does not proceed or a building permit is not issued.
And I guess you want to add the qualifiers about, there were no, I don't remember having any written comments on this, and no one here this evening to speak to this matter.
You know, here I talked about everything and forgot about that. Yes, I would like to note here that there was no one from the public, either in written or here at the presentation, that had any objections to this.
Okay, discussion and recommendation subject to those 2 conditions. Mr. Tulowski?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to take a contrary view to my colleague. I have no issue with 4 out of the 5 variances, but I still cannot support variance number 2. I couldn't support this the first time when there was a request for approximately additional 900 square feet. The variance in front of us today is approximately 700 square foot beyond what the bylaw permits, and that's a significant increase in size, and the design of the house, I still believe, is very vertical and square, which does nothing to try to mitigate the increased size that's being asked for. And I believe that other houses of a similar nature on the street are more the exception to the rule. And as such, Mr. Chair, I just cannot find variance number 2 to be minor or appropriate.
Any further discussion on recommendation? Mr. Hardcastle?
I'm just going to step in and support and reinforce the comments from Mr. Tulowski. The application was before us previously with substantially the same design, slight modifications, but ultimately it's the mass of the building continues to be a concern, so I won't be able to support the motion on the floor.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, the recommendation is to approve subject to those 2 conditions. All those in support? Those opposed? Okay, that recommendation carries. So your application is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Application CAV 71, 2017 at 51 Belvedere Drive, sorry. Sorry? We just did 132, isn't it? No, we just did Calder. We just did Calder. So you're one behind. No. We just did Calder. You're one behind. So we're dealing with the application CAV 71 2017 at 51 Belvedere Drive. Name and address for the record, sir?
Yes, Bill Oakville, agent for the owners Aberdeen Homes, 2140 Winston Park Drive, Oakville.
Okay. I think we'll need a presentation on this, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I'll make this quite simple. We have had discussions with planning about the height variances, not only for the application on Belvedere, but
You're going to have to speak up a bit, though.
I apologize. We have had discussions with planning for the height variances, not only on this application, but the one on Hamlet Common. And as a result, we've actually changed the plans so that the height complies to the bylaw, being 9 meters. So, yes, we are, for Belvedere, we're going to be withdrawing variance number 2. I do have copies of the plans here if the members want to see them, but maybe what I can do is just go to the height for front elevation.
So, okay, so what I saying is we're dealing with an amended application only to deal with the coverage
Yes.
from 25 to 26.11. Members, you accept that amendment, and we'll proceed on the amended application? Okay, thank you. Okay, so can you, these are the revised plans?
These are the revised plans.
Okay,
I do have 6 copies of them here.
okay.
Can I give a Hamlet comment while you're here?
Let's just see, is there anyone here this evening that, other than Mr. Outridge, that has an interest in application CAV 71, 2017 at 51 Belvedere Drive? Okay, I think we understand the application, sir. There wasn't no issue with the coverage, in as much as the height. We wanted to hear some evidence on that because there was an OMB determination on that, as you probably appreciate, and I think revising the application is of assistance. Members, do you have any questions? You wish a full presentation now? Okay, so can you just quickly tell us,
Only because I believe we had a letter of objection here.
I think it was about the height, though.
yeah, there's a letter,
Oh, it was about the coverage.
well, height or coverage?
Says it was about both, but it was about
Mostly
coverage
the
also.
height. This is from the Coronation Park Residents Association?
Yeah, there was a comment here that said, on average, the homes identified above and those on Belvedere Drive also, in general represent lot coverages of 10 to 15%. And I was wondering if you could comment to that. They're basically saying that the vast majority of homes on that street are not at even 25%.
Okay, I can comment. I mean, this was a plan of subdivision that was approved back in 2008, 2009, went to the OMB. There was particular items, I think, that were of issue, one being height, which after doing the research over the last couple of days, I realized that we better just cut that height variance out. However, interesting enough, this was, I think this particular site was the RO2 designation from the old bylaw that actually had 30% coverage.
Yes.
So, within the actual new development, all the existing homes, to my knowledge, all were based on the 30%. The original homes were built by Hush back a number of years ago, and I believe that most of them are close to the 30% requirement. So in this case, yes, it is on Belvedere, but we are 1.5% over the 25% coverage, of course, that's required in the new bylaw. Yet, the home meets all the other bylaw requirements for setbacks and such. It has a rather large size, I guess it's a southerly side yard in this instance. So I would consider that the coverage in this instance is more or less in keeping with the new development. Actually better off because it is lower in coverage than the other homes.
Any further questions? Any further items of clarification, sir?
No,
All right,
unless
we'll
the committee
take
has
the
any
revised application into committee for consideration. Who would like to move a recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move a recommendation. I'm satisfied with the amended application, and I do concur with Mr. Outridge that the area is predominantly larger homes that fit within the same design as well as coverage of this proposed application, as well as staff's comments. Having said that, I'll move a motion to approve the application as set before us, with our standard condition that approval will expire within 2 years if the proposed development has not proceeded and/or a building permit not issued, and that the construction proceed according to the plans submitted today, and those are dated.
Today's date?
Help me out.
Are they not dated today?
I see here,
May 25th.
okay, May
Sorry,
20.
April 25th.
April
Getting ahead
20.
of myself.
Okay, April 25th of 2017.
All right, thank you. So the recommendation is to approve subject to those two conditions. The discussion on recommendation, Mr. Charlebois?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to support this. I just wanted to, just because we did have this objection from the Residents Association here with respect. Written objection, yeah, or sorry, written letter of objection, yes. And that's why I wanted to bring up the 10 to 15% because you know, I spent some time going up and down that street. I mean, obviously I didn't measure everything, but to the eye, I couldn't come to the conclusion or couldn't agree with that particular statement in there. I didn't feel that there were most of the houses I felt were probably closer to a 25% coverage, if not more. So I just want that to be on the record.
I agree. I made the same observation. Okay, further discussion on that recommendation? Seeing none, all those in support? No one opposed, your application being approved. Okay, and then we'll proceed to application CAV 72, 2017 at 38 Hamlet Common.
Mr. Eldridge is not
So this
voting
is the
no.
other side of that corner.
Yeah.
Yes, this is
Name and address for the record?
William Outred, 2140 Winston Park Drive. This time it's in Oakville.
Okay, are we,
Similar to the other application, Mr. Chair, I would like to withdraw the height variance
Okay.
for the same reasons.
okay, members, are you content with dealing with the revised application? Eliminates the variance? Okay, yes.
Through Mr. Chair, I have to add something that for Hamlet Comment 38, it was not stated the comments from the public because the Coronation Residents Association, they made reference to CAVA 069. So it was not actually addressed to 38 Hamlet Common than the previously.
They got the addresses right, but the
Yes,
the numbers
the
wrong.
numbers. So
Yeah.
the planning didn't address the comments, but we acknowledge that the comments were received
Yes,
on the time for both properties. So
right.
just to mention that.
There was just difference between the, our file numbers and the municipal addresses associated with those file numbers. But we've accepted these comments in respect of the applications that we have before us today, 71 and 72 in 2017.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a revised application. Sir, I guess your submissions on this is similar to the ones, almost similar in terms of height, but we have a different variance on the front lot line, and I think staff have said that they're satisfied with the variance number one, and now I guess they'll be satisfied with variance two because it's gone. Is there anything you wish to add further on this application?
No, I think this is just a technicality as far as which is the lot frontage on this property, so unless the committee has any other questions on variance number one.
Is there anyone here this evening that has an interest in application CAV 72, 2017 at 38 Hamlet Common? Seeing none, yes, Mr. Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as a point of clarification, and you may be aware of it already, with respect to the orientation, and they're seeking to deem the northerly lot line. I just wanted to make it absolutely clear to the committee that if you're looking at the schedule attached to the application, north would be on the right-hand side of the particular lot in question. I know there was some, there could have been some confusion as to what was actually the north lot line. So it's the narrower frontage on the right-hand side of your schedule. Okay. So I just want to bring that to your attention.
Thank you for that. Any questions of the agent? Seeing none, we'll take this matter to committee. Who would like to move a recommendation? Who would like to? Oh, we do have a written comment on this one. No, we don't. Sorry. Who would like to move? Yeah, we do from the same one as the previous one. Yes. So who would like to move a recommendation? Ms. McHale, thank you. Oh, you gotta, I can't see you down there. You gotta, yeah, there you go. Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Given the submissions by Mr. Outred and revisions to the variance, I believe that the written comments provided by the Ratepayers Association have been substantially addressed, and I'm satisfied that the variance conforms to the four tests of the Act, and I'll put forward a motion of approval, subject to two conditions. The first being that the approval be consistent with the drawing submitted with, is that with today's date again?
April 25th, yes.
Dated April 25th, 2017. And the second being that the approval will expire within 2 years if a building permit has not been issued.
And then we'll reflect that we had that written comment that we had for our package consideration. Thank you. The recommendation is to approve, subject to those two conditions. All those in support? No one opposed. Your application has been approved, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, application CAV 73-2017 at 1460 Seagram Avenue.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't realize that I knew the applicant of this
You got a
application,
conflict?
so I
Okay,
do
we'll
have a
note
conflict
you,
that I'm declaring right
we'll
now.
note you that you have a conflict.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Ms. McHale, please note as a conflict, and we'll ask you to please leave the building, the room. Okay, we're the agent owner. Please come forward on application CAV 73-2017 at 1460 Seagram Avenue. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, members of the committee, Madam Secretary, Mr. Chairman. My name is Richard Mann. I'm the architect for the owners at 1460 Seagram Avenue. I live at 153 Woodhaven Park Drive.
Thank you. All right, just before we see if we need a full presentation, it seems like staff are recommending approval of the application. Is there anyone here this evening that has an interest in application CAV 73-2017 at 1460 Seagram Avenue? Members, I'm in your hands if you wish a full present. Oh, there is? All right, so we need a presentation, sir. You're here in opposition, sir? Yes. Okay, so we'll need a presentation on your application, sir.
Some space. Members of the committee, the application before you today is requesting 4 variances to the current zoning bylaw. The first variance is to permit a maximum garage area of 56 square meters, where 45 square meters is allowed. The garage is designed as a 2-car garage. It has 2 garage doors at the front, has a typical width of a standard 2-car garage. The extra floor area is accommodated in the garage depth via sort of a semi-tandem type space. The intent of that is obviously to not create a large mass for the garage front on the streetscape. The second variance is the residential gross floor area. We're requesting a variance of 36.23%, where 35% is allowed. And this variance is a product of the program of the house. My clients are a professional couple. Both of them work away from home and from home. They both require independent, separate spaces to work from home. They also have 3 young children. And the program of the house was designed to also potentially accommodate elderly parents as time permitted, as this is a long-term endeavor for them. There was, as the design was proceeding, it became apparent that we were going to be exceeding the gross floor area, so there was a definite attempt to try and keep that the excess floor area to a minimum, and we feel the 36.23% over the 35% is in fact a minor number for the gross floor area. The coverage, it's a very similar sort of statement. We have a slightly larger floor plate, we have a slightly larger garage, we have the covered porch at the back and a covered porch to the front. And again, an attempt was to keep it as tight as we could. One thing I would note is that this being the old R2, the RO2 zone, which previously had coverages of 30%, the area does have quite a few houses that range anywhere from 25 to 30% coverage. In fact, the one immediately to the east of this property has coverage of 29.8%. So it's in keeping with the general fabric of the neighborhood. And the last variance is for the front yard setback. And the front yard setback was established from the average of the house to the east and the house to the west, taking the 1 meter allowance for the house to the west as it's an older house and probably will be redeveloped. So we took the average of the 2, and that resulted in the setback that we were requesting. Now, I did notice that I did see the 2 letters of objection for the front yard setbacks. One specifically for the front yard setbacks, and the other one had all of them plus the front yard setback. So I did want to sort of bring to the committee's attention and note, the intent of taking the average was to try and keep the houses in line with the other ones on the street. And the difficulty with that particular, if you drive up Seagram, I'm going to put this up here. If you can zoom in just a little bit, please. So if you drive up Seagram this way here, because the road angles, the houses, any sort of staggering effect that you would have the houses, even if they had a consistent front yard setback, they would appear to be in front of one another. So the house at 1454 Seagram, which was done by myself a few years ago, was actually done under the old zoning bylaw and is set back at 9 meters, which didn't require a variance. That was the bylaw at the time. So that one met the bylaw. And for instance, house at 1480 Seagram here, this is taken directly off the town's data mapping with their AutoCADs. So 1480 is approximately, I don't have the exact dimension, but you can tell by that dashed line, which is offset the same distance, is basically essentially the same setback as 1454 at 9 meters, plus or minus whatever the final outcome is. But as you can see, 1480, which is the one that we're proposing, we would become 1460, sorry. 1460 would be coming slightly forward in this location here, and it would be doing the average between the two. I understand from the letter from the owner at 1480 that the perception is that these houses will be pushed in front of them, and I would say that that's also a product of them becoming parallel to the street line, which is angled away from them. If you have any further questions,
Okay,
I'll be happy to
thank
answer
you.
them.
Any questions of Mr. Mann right now? See none? Thank you, sir. Just have a seat nearby and we'll invite you back. Okay, there was a show of hands. Who would like to come down? Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Michael Conway from 1480 Seagram.
Okay, you're the 1480.
I'm the 1480, and I think,
Okay.
as Richard said, you have the letter that we sent just last night.
Yeah, we have the letter.
So I think it's just really about variance number 4, specifically looking at the house to the west of us, to the east of us. As they come closer to us, they get closer to the street. Our house will be set back. As Richard mentioned, the next house beside him will also probably be on this path again. So it keeps getting closer and closer to us. And based on the design.
Well, it's not getting closer to you. You heard the submission. Sir, can you put that map back up again where you have that line? It's because of the offset nature of the street. If the street was straight without a jog in it.
I guess the question, Richard, is this the new design or this is the original house?
This is the original right
That's the original house.
Right.
So can you draw it with the new house?
It'll probably be close to that dash line.
It'd be close to the hash
Yes.
line. So that is, I think that drawing from Richard is a bit deceiving. But basically,
Well, it would be probably in the same location as 1480, same location as 1454. They're all set back. Excuse me, let me try that again. That dash line is at 9 meters, Mr. Mann? Right.
so if you come to the
So
neighborhood.
in order for it not to be in front of you, it has to be set back like 20 meters.
Pardon me?
In order for that house not to be in front of you, it would have to be set back. If you put a straight line that runs in front of your house, so draw a straight line.
We'll just take this right here.
So take from the dash line.
I understand, right from here.
Yeah.
But I guess where we're looking at it
No,
from.
but draw a line there because I think it demonstrates
Can I get a sharper
visually.
line,
Mr. Mann, can you put a line, straight line? Another dash line that
Right.
just goes straight? Because we should see what that looks like. Okay.
Okay, but I guess the concern that we have is not when you stand at the corner of the house, is if you stand, from our viewpoint, if you stand halfway down our property towards the road, so if you stand right about here.
Right.
And look towards the east.
Right.
Okay, so if you put the line here for where
Well,
we.
put the line where you're saying, like throw the line, see where that other solid line is?
So right here.
No, not there, go further west. Go further, right where the solid line is. Pretend you're walking up, no,
This is the road.
okay.
This is my
See where
driveway.
that other solid line is?
Right here,
Yeah, so
Okay.
project a line that goes straight up.
Well, that goes right
Yeah.
along here.
So let's say that's the sidewalk and you're standing there, of course you're gonna see it, that's obvious.
But if I stand here
Yes,
and I look east,
Yes?
Presently, I see about 4 feet of this house
Right.
right now. Right? I
Yes.
looked at now, tomorrow, I'm gonna see 4 feet of house right there.
Right.
And then next year, I'm gonna see another 4 feet here, and if this one goes, but I don't know if this one's gonna go, it keeps coming towards me from this viewpoint.
Right.
So it keeps coming closer towards me, the 4
Well,
feet from where I see it.
it's
not from
following the same
standing-
trajectory.
On the same trajectory. Standing on my, right on my property, right on the top of my house, there's no issue. It's when I stand here and look towards the east. I see the 4-foot wall presently of 14, which house?
Right.
54? And next year will be 1460. I will see the 4 feet. I don't quite know where Richard drew the line, but probably right around here.
Right.
I will see it. So it has come closer to me.
Well,
So-
if you look to the east,
If I look to the east, yes.
yeah. So perhaps 50% of the time you look to the east and 50% you look to the west.
I guess, I guess for this design, I guess when I looked at this house, so, you know, I guess basically when the house was done from Richard 2 years ago here, it was further away, so we did really not have an issue. But now the house is one house closer to us within this circle. I don't know what this circle represents, but it gets closer towards us, that 4 feet wall that we are now seeing when we look towards the east.
But I guess my question is, how much of that is a function of the geometry of the road? If the road geometry was linear and there was no
If it was
jog,
straight, you wouldn't have seen,
you wouldn't see it.
and we all have the same setback. But this one is, he's
Right,
asking
I
for.
mean, equally, the people that are at the top of the street, they're saying, when they look down, they don't see anyone, you
On the
know?
top of the street, you mean on this side?
No, at 1454.
1454, which one is that one?
The one that Mr. Mann did, right opposite right next to the one that he did. If he's standing at the top of the street, he's looking down,
If he's, if
he can't see you.
1554, if he looks this way, he's not gonna see the house.
Well, he's not gonna see you.
Okay, well, that,
Well, that's what I mean. It's just a function of the way the street's been laid out. You know,
Okay.
in order to get the appearance from the way I see it, put up the other map. In order to get that visual, a clean front yard setback with no buildings, you practically have to have an 18-meter setback from the street. And those houses will be deeper in the lot than any other house. It would be totally out of character. Don't you agree? So in order for you to not see any portion of 1460, it would have to be set back to where that solid line is where Mr. Mann drew it. Do you agree?
sorry, one more time, Mr. Chairman?
So you see where Mr. Mann drew that other solid line?
Which one, this one right here?
No,
This one right
no,
here?
no, the solid line that I asked him to
This one
draw.
here, yeah?
No, the solid line. Point to the solid line that
This
I
one
asked
right
him.
here?
No,
That's
no, that one. No,
Okay.
no, the one next to it.
the one
Go.
next to it. Richard, which one's he referring to?
Mr. Mann, the line that we just drew. See that line?
Yeah,
Okay, see where 1460 is?
yeah,
In order for you not to see 1460, it would have to be behind that line. That's approximately 18 meters front yard setback,
okay.
which
but-
no other house in the area has.
Okay, but my comment on the observation was not on my porch of my house. And I took it, and I did take into account that I do understand that the road has moved further north. That's not, I understand that, and it will not be ideal. My comment is on the variance, that you are trying to take a bit more of the front. If you go within the bylaw, I can live within the bylaw. But you keep pushing the houses forward, you keep asking for a variance, and I just know this one's moved up, and which brings the 4-foot visual from my viewpoint closer to me, that's all.
But that's exactly my point. If you were to
If you
be-
move that house within the existing bylaw, move it back a couple of feet, then we're back, then we're okay.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Anything else, sir, Mr. Conway?
No, that's the only variance I had a
Concern
complaint
with?
against.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Mr. Mann, anything you wish to add?
I just wanted to add, I just wanted to sort of put the fresh one down here. And I can appreciate it because I know that area, I live in the area, I drive down there, and I drove down there today. And I can appreciate the visual from what Mr. Conway is saying. And then after doing my exercise of trying to figure out what the setbacks are his house at 1480 actually is, as I said to you before, is approximately 9 meter setback. And the variance that we're asking for, I know the bylaws have changed, but 1480 and 1454 are approximately at the same setback from the street. We're asking for a slight variance to the current zoning bylaw, which is actually going to be at 10.3 meters. So it's set back 1.3 meters further from both 1454 and 1480. And then what I would say is that if the concern is if the other two houses are going to be averaged as they go to get to his, eventually they will go from the average of 1454. Then if this one gets approved at where it is now at 10.3, then the next ones, they would go, and at no point would they be less than the 9 meters from what both 1480 and 1454 are.
That's the function of the math. Any questions? Okay, thank you. We'll take this matter to committee. Who would like to move a recommendation? Mr. Talowski?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to move that this application be approved as applied for, finding that it meets the 4 tests of Planning Act. I would make that approval conditional on development proceeding in accordance with the drawings provided, and that a permit issue within 2 years. I would like to address the 2 letters of opposition with respect to the front yard setback. I find forcing on the applicant to comply with the bylaw would actually be detrimental to the streetscape. I find the drawing that Mr. Mann brought to be extremely useful, because I didn't appreciate this on the street as I do now, that the effective setback on Seagram is 9 meters as a result of the original bylaw, and the house in question, the ones beside it, actually are the ones that are out of sync with the majority of the houses. With the new bylaw, which requires existing less 1 meter, the houses that are at or around 9 meters, which the neighbors suggest will get redeveloped, if I'm reading the bylaw correctly, will actually be able to develop at an 8 meter setback, and they would actually be the houses furthest in front on the entire street, and forcing the applicant to stay at 13 meters back would actually be disruptive to the streetscape. So I absolutely believe that it's appropriate in this context to bring the houses further ahead. There was also a second letter of objection, Mr. Chair, but I found it largely was addressing concerns that are not in front of us, or variances weren't requested for, or that they generally just asked that the bylaw not be varied as opposed to raise impacts that the variances would permit. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I'll just reiterate my motion to approve as applied for.
Subject to those 2 conditions. Okay, thank you very much. Discussion on that recommendation? See none. All those in support? No one opposed. Your application being approved, sir.
Thank you. Did you want this?
Okay, can someone invite Ms. McHale back? CAV 75-2017 at 2067 Deramore Drive. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
My name is Jack Meyer, 2067 Deramore Drive. My address is 1353 Gallery Hill.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here this evening that has an interest in application CAV 75-2017 at 2067 Deramore Drive? You're here to oppose, sir? Okay.
To support.
So, well, I asked because we won't need a presentation. Just want to register your name and support? You got to come down. Members, you need a presentation on this? Okay.
My name is Jacob Wykamp, and I'm the neighbor to the west of Jack.
Okay, you're here in support.
I am.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Charlebois has a couple questions.
Mr. Chairman, it's actually for planning. I'm trying to figure out, just bear with me because I'm looking at my notes here. From what I could read in here, it said in 2007, the applicant required a variance for gross floor area, but now that they're converting the garage, which is going to add another 71 square meters into the picture, they don't require an additional variance.
May I clarify?
By all means, sorry.
That was a prior variance, I believe, 2 years before. I purchased in 2007. The prior owner was going to rebuild, and that variance for the square footage, et cetera, was apparently, according to when I went in 2007, approved, but that lapsed, and the house was never built.
Oh,
so this
okay.
is the existing house from 50 years, or whenever it was originally built.
Well, that would answer that question then.
Okay.
Because I couldn't figure it out. And just want to clarify something in here with respect to the driveway. It was mentioned in here that the driveway as presented wouldn't be wide enough, but that you guys were going to widen it.
Yes.
But it said you were going to widen it to 9 meters.
Here's a drawing.
Yeah.
This is the existing garage, and Peter from zoning told me I needed to add another parking pad. So
Okay.
this is it here. This is the town line. This is the edge of the asphalt of the Darramore Drive, and there's the ditch.
And you're going to add how much in width?
He said approximately 9 feet.
9 feet.
Yeah.
One of the conditions,
Okay.
one of the conditions is that you have to provide an updated site plan that shows the location of the parking.
And so
Was that a condition?
That, well, yes, it's one of the recommended conditions in the report, if you read them, is that you have to provide an updated site plan demonstrating the required parking for the principal dwelling and the accessory unit to the satisfaction of the chief building official. So you've started showing that, but they need something a bit more formal rather than a free sketch.
Okay, I was not aware of that, so I did the free sketch because it's
Right.
very minor, I don't know.
Mr. McConnell, am I correct in that?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chairman. It would be to the satisfaction of the chief building official, so he could certainly talk to our building department to understand what would be acceptable.
Right, they just want to see a formal site plan rather than a handwritten sketch with a number 20 on it and number 9 on it. They want it probably correctly measured by some form of software or architect or something that shows and stamped that it's 20 feet and by 9 feet. And
Well, I did measure, there's the little dot here is the water main.
Yeah.
So I measured from here to the water main
No,
was
I know, but-
21 feet exactly.
Right, yes, but you see, you show a little hatched area that is outside your property limit, just at the corner, very, very little.
Well, it doesn't have to be that way.
Well,
I
that's
just
what I
did that
mean.
on an angle to make it easier to park.
Well, that's what I mean. That small area overhangs onto municipal property. They wouldn't approve it like that, so
Oh,
you need,
okay.
so you need to formally do it correctly. And I think what the town is saying, there's room for it to happen, but this freehand sketch is on its way there, but it's not there.
Okay.
Mr. Charlebois, do you have
Yeah.
any further questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to, just to clarify, because I think it's right here, but the comments in here said that, that 11.4 meters was required, but only 9.07 is provided. However, the applicant is advised that they're going to widen their driveway to 9, which of course doesn't make any sense. So you are agreeing what I can see here. I guess for all intents and purposes, you agree with the municipality, you will widen this
Yes.
driveway as much as you need to, to their satisfaction,
Yes.
to be able to park 2 cars.
Yeah, and to whatever dimension and direction.
Okay, it's good for me. Thank you.
Any further questions? So again, anyone here with an interest in application CAV 75-2017 at 2067 Darramore Drive, other than the gentleman that's noted their support? All right, Mr. Charlebois, do you want to continue with the recommendation since
Why
you've
not?
had the questions?
Mr. Chairman, having read the staff report, visited the site, and listened to the presentation here tonight, I am satisfied that this particular variance meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I'm going to make a recommendation that it be approved, subject to the condition here that the applicant provide an updated site plan demonstrating that the required parking for the principal dwelling and the accessory unit to the satisfaction of the chief building official. And I don't believe there's a building permit required for this. I'll put forward the condition that this will expire within 2 years if that particular driveway is not built.
All right. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Chairman.
Application for the day, and that's application CAV 76-2017 at 125 Chartwell Road. So that's if the driveway is not built. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Yes, once again, Bill Outred, 2140 Winston Park Drive, Oakville.
This is your 4th application today.
Yes.
You dominated our agenda, 4 out of 9, not bad. Okay. The staff are recommending approval, subject to the proposed addition being constructed in accordance with the plans dated March 28, 2017, as submitted. Just to formally ask, is there anyone here this evening that has an interest in application CAV 76-2017 at 125 Chartwell Road? Anyone behind your back? I can't see. No. Okay. Members, any questions?
Yeah, there is one item I'd like to bring up. That's the second floor balcony.
Sorry, can you say that again?
The second floor balcony. We have had discussions with staff about it. Well, I'd like to withdraw the request. Staff has suggested that they cannot support retaining the proposed second floor balcony that was approved in 2015.
So you want to withdraw that variance, number 4?
I guess I'm forced to withdraw it, yes.
Okay, so we'll take an amended application.
I'm going to ask this question because you're more savvy. This variance was approved at one point in time. It was objected to by the neighbor. It went to the OMB, and the OMB approved every variance you're asking for here. Why are we asking for them again?
We're asking for them again because there was a number of changes of the design. I do have a comparison here. I can just show you very briefly.
I mean, I went through the whole OMB report, and it looked...
Well, there were minutes of settlement that the town was not a party to. And have you, is that neighbor that was part of this settlement, a part of the, are they still around?
Yes, they're still there, and I've been sharing the plans with the neighbor over the last month, so I don't think they have any issue.
Can you just go with me, because there was an attachment to the OMB.
Minutes of settlement.
The minutes of settlement to the OMB decision here, and it said that you'd applied for, the minimum side yard was 4.2, and they agreed to a minimum side yard of 2.66, and now you're applying for a minimum side yard of 3.4, which, who cares? I mean, you've already got the 2.66, so...
Well, it's an improvement over that previously
but it's not, you don't need to come and ask for a variance.
We do, because the plans have substantially changed.
So the plans that were tied to a previous proposal are no
So you're
longer the
saying
same plans?
all of these things here, which were approved by the OMB, are changed now because you simply changed the design? So,
Yes.
Okay.
There's a number of changes.
That wasn't made clear when I was trying to read anything here.
Because it was approved in accordance with the plans that were filed. The
I
plans
know,
have changed, so.
none of the staff reports sort of
Is
pulled
the
that.
balcony staying,
No, it's
but you're
being
just not
removed.
extending it?
Yes, the rear balcony where it exists right now is staying.
Yes, okay.
So we had applied for it to be extended pretty well the same as it was in 2015, but now second floor balconies are prohibited.
Right.
And of course, planning has suggested that council would appeal the decision.
But again, we have an OMB decision allowing that balcony to...
But that was for a different design.
Unfortunately, believe me, we've been through this with staff, planning staff, and Peter Kozel. There's enough changes to do with the house itself, with the configuration, not really the footprint, but it's the, you know, the heights, the addition out the back is now 1 story with a I think it's a 14, 15-foot ceiling, but there's also an addition above the garage that was not there in 2015. There's a configuration on the south side is different, quite a bit different. So it was something that was, staff felt we had to come back to committee of adjustment because the plans weren't substantially the same as what was approved by the board in 2015.
Okay.
So I agree with you. I wish we weren't here tonight, but we could not get a building permit approved unless we came back through the committee of adjustment and addressed this evening.
Any further questions? Mr. Tulowski?
I noticed the garage area is under construction. Do you still need an additional permit if you get your approval tonight? Building permit?
Yes, we do need a building permit.
Okay. So just, I don't know if it's belts and suspenders, but are you asking to withdraw the variance from the balcony outright, or are you asking us to legalize the existing balcony? And I ask that because whether there's a concern that when you go to get your building permit, the building department's going to look at your plans and say, you've got a balcony that's not permitted under the bylaw, you need to go get a variance.
An interesting question. I think it's a legal balcony that had a building permit years ago with the original home. I don't think they can really address a legal non-conforming balcony, and just because we're asking for another building permit, ask that we remove it. To my knowledge, that never came up with planning nor with zoning.
I raise it because staff regularly, when someone comes in for a permit and there's a legal non-conforming, they ask them to go get it legalized. So,
Well, it's not a legal non-conforming use, it's a legal, it doesn't comply. It's a different discussion. It's a performance standard rather than a use standard.
Yes.
All right, so you're asking us to amend the application to withdraw variance number 4, dealing with the balcony, and I think we're taking the amended application, correct? No one objects, so the application is for variance 1, 2, 3, and 5, not 4. Any further questions, any items of clarification? See none, we'll take this matter into committee then. Who would like to move a recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I guess I'll move a recommendation. I'll move a recommendation to approve these variances that are before us, 1, 2, 3, and 5, and take into consideration the request of the client to withdraw variance number 4. Given the history of this application and the agent's presentation and staff's report concurring that these variances meet the general intent of the official plan as well as the Planning Act, I'll move a recommendation to approve this application, and it will be subject to getting the building permit, so approval will expire within 2 years from the date of the decision if the proposed development has not proceeded and/or building permit not issued, as well as according to the plans as submitted and dated with staff. I don't.
April 21st?
April 21st, thank you.
Revision date, April 21st.
Of 2017, thank you.
Thank you for the recommendation. The discussion on recommendation? Yes, Mr. Sharma.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to support this, but I just wanted to put something else in here. I mean, I spent some time looking at this because it was quite confusing. First off, I'd like to, make a point there that I just feel the staff report did not bring this thing together at all. And it led me off in a complete other tangent, which was a bit of a waste of time. But I do note that that this committee approved these variances, in fact, a little bit more even on the setback. I do note that that this particular deal went to the OMB only because it was not objected to by the municipality, but it was objected to by the neighbors who were looking for a little bit more screening. Along the way, there were some changes, and again, the OMB created a decision which accepted all of this. And now it's back in front of us again, looking for, third approval, which I find a little bit onerous. But in this case, I find it, it would be ludicrous for us to say no, since we've said yes so many times before. So I just wanted to make sure that's on the record.
Thank you. Any further discussion? See none. Recommendations to approve subject to those 2 conditions. All those in support? No one opposed. Your application is being approved, sir. Okay, we have no minutes. No minutes? Yes, we'll need those plans. Thank you. Can we have a recommendation to adjourn? Mr. Hardcastle, all those in support? All right, we're adjourned at 8:17.